What's up everybody? In this tutorial we are going to expand the UI that we designed in Figma. We are going to add in a grid or an array of labels here, and we are going to take some text from this text input like so, and we're going to display that on the grid. So building out some simple functionality here in our Wordle app. Alright, let's get started. Hello world, and welcome back to part 2 of Hello Wordle. In this tutorial what we want to do is create the grid here on the screen that we see, and enable a text box here to write letters to that. So we're going to start off by creating a group, and that's going to allow us to create each one of the rows. So maybe I can call this row 1, like that, and let's set the height here to I think 60 is going to be plenty, and we're going to set the width to be the full screen. Inside of that then we are going to add our labels, so let's add one here, and we're going to make liberal use of the duplicate function in Thunkable, which allows us to essentially create one component that we want, and then we can copy and paste it basically, and make it look exactly the way we want it to look. So let's call this L1, maybe letter 1 perhaps, and I want to change the font. I want to increase the font size. Yeah, let's change the letter on it as well. And did we change the dimensions? We want it to be 50 by 50. That looks pretty good. And let's change the alignment here. So let's set the text align to be center. And the last thing we want to do is make the font bold, I think, like that. Good stuff. Okay, so the last thing then that we need to do is change the color of the text itself, and to change the background color of the label. So back here in our Figma file, I'm going to set them all to be this light gray originally, or initially, like that, and then let's change the color of the text as well, and we'll make that white like so. Okay, so we've got L1. Let's make a copy of that by hitting duplicate. Now we've excellent, so woohoo. Okay, right, we've got all our letters here in place. L2, let's move that up the tree a little bit to there. This one here is L3. Let's get rid of all these texts because we don't need any text in them. Let's rename them. L3 goes up here. L4 is the next one, and L5 is going to be the last one here. Okay, so basically what we're doing here is creating like a prototype row, and then once we're kind of happy with how that looks, we're going to just be able to duplicate this entire group. So there are 6 guesses in Wordle. I think we can get rid of these ones here. These were our little references that we had from our design. We're able to do the whole group here. And last one, delete. Okay, lovely, looks nice and tidy now. Oh, that's the one I duplicated. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So yeah, what we're going to do here, just move this up the screen. We're going to make a copy of row 1, like so. We've got row 2 here, and make another copy of this. We've got row 3 below that. Row 4, like that. Row 5. And row 6. And so that is, yeah, just in a couple of minutes there, we've recreated the layout for Wordle. To keep things simple on the screen, I'm going to deviate from the original. I'm not going to use the on-screen keyboard, but you could use that same technique if you really wanted to. So you could create a row of letters and you could duplicate them, and yeah, you could create it there. But that's how we would yeah, create this Wordle grid. So one of the things then that we're going to do is reorder all of these components. Okay, so I want to put 6 at the top, I guess. Sorry, and then I want to put 5 above that. Yeah, it just takes a second to kind of figure out the order here. 4 is going to go on top of that. 3 goes above 4. 2 goes above that. And then we'll see where row 1 has gone to. There it is there. Let's drag and drop it up here. And we are good to go. Try one more time. There we go. No, I dropped it too soon. There we go. Excellent. Okay, and the reason we want to do that is because in the next step in our blocks editor, we're going to see that the labels that we're working with go from left to right and from top to bottom. So it's the same kind of order as Figma. If you're familiar with doing any Figma exports, it goes from left to right and it goes from top to bottom like that. So that's why we've configured our grid with label 1 in the top and label number 30 all the way down here in the bottom right. Okay, over in the blocks editor, so we want to set it so that every time the user types a new letter into the text input, we are going to display that letter in the grid, in the Wordl grid that we have just built. So there's a function here, or an event rather, when the text input changes, that detects every time a new letter has been entered. We're going to create a variable. We go into the variables drawer here, we initialize a variable, and I'm going to call this a list of letters. And we're going to do a quick conversion here. So every time they type in a new letter, we are going to take their text from the text input and we're going to convert that into a list. So we go to the lists drawer here. Down at the end, we can make a list from a piece of text. And in this case, you can use comma separated values or tab separated or whatever you want here. But in this case, I'm going to just delete everything here, so it converts each letter into an individual list item, like so. So now we have a list of letters, and down here in the any component drawer, we are also able to generate a list of labels. So we have 30 labels on our screen, and we have some number of letters, I suppose, here. We want to go through each of those letters, and we want to update the corresponding label. So we don't know how many letters they'll have typed in, but we can get the blocks to work that out for us. So let's calculate the length of our list of letters like this, and all we want to do then is use this any component here. This allows us to update any label. It's like a generic label handler here. It allows us to update any label on the screen. So we want to use I as our counter. So label 1 is going to get the first letter, label 2 will get the second letter, and so on all the way until we have run out of letters in our text input. So we're going to use the same pattern twice. We're going to just use 2 different lists. So in our list of labels, again, I is just keeping track of the the position that we're on. So label 1 is going to get letter number 1, and we do it. Delete the purple block there. Let's just put in our list of letters like that, and that's what's happening with these blocks here. So we find label number 1, and then we grab letter number 1. So I and I are the same here as we go through each loop, and then the letter number 2 is going to be, or label number 2 is going to get letter number 2. And the best way I think to see that is just to preview it here. So we can type in this is pretty cool, and you can see it handles spaces here and everything, which isn't something that you probably want in your game. So we can look at resolving that in the next part. Okay, so that is everything for today's lesson. Go ahead and add a grid to your UI and add these blocks here so that you're able to update the labels based on what is in the text input. In the next lesson, obviously, we are going to be making sure that the user can only enter 5 letters at a time, and we're going to add the functionality to insert or update a guess as well. So we're going to start looking at what word they've entered. That's it for today. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you want to see more in the series, don't forget to subscribe to the video as well, and I will see you in the next lesson.